Somebody has poked the Russian bear one too many times. As the Russian Foreign Ministry said, the cup of patience has overflowed. The tipping point was the Ukrainian drone attack on a college dorm in Starobelsk in Russia, which killed 21 students, mostly girls, and injured scores more.
Yeah.
Interesting that the European news didn't really report on it all that much. You
Yeah.
know, if it did, it was a bit really, really small headline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Russia did reply, even using one of their hypersonic missiles on military targets, but there's a lot more to come, apparently. Now they're preparing to attack officials and military leaders in their air raid bunkers and cripple other military related sites like weapons manufacturers.
Yeah.
The other day, Sergei Lavrov, he called the US Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, to warn of systematic strikes against Ukraine and urged US diplomatic personnel and nationals to leave Kiev as soon as possible, as things will begin to look ugly in the capital.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, Andrei Melnik, Ukrainian envoy to the UN, shared a statement signed by 50 countries, including in Europe and Canada, condemning Russia and its escalation of attacks against that state. Of course, they would do,
Yes.
because they know what's going to come down the pipe now.
Mm. Yeah.
Right? They realise that they've overstepped the mark
Yeah.
by attacking a school and killing almost everybody there.
Yes.
They're worried about what's going to happen to them now.
Mm.
Rubio, Marco Rubio, said on Tuesday, Kiev has been a very dangerous place now for a number of years.
Mm.
This is what happens with these wars. They just continue to escalate.
Yeah.
And that is why the war needs to come to an end. So it looks like the skies of Kiev will be lit up further as the Russian bombs continue to drop in the not too distant future.
Yeah.
Short and sweet, that one, because there's not a great deal to be said.
Well, um, notice there's not a look of surprise on my face.
Yeah,
Um,
well, you know,
whatever my personal feelings are about the war from both sides, I may add.
yeah,
Yeah. Um, on both perspectives. Yeah, I mean, yes, I mean, I saw roughly the report. I mean, that this is part of the problem we have as the pundits on the ground. I use the term pundits in a jokingly sort of way because that's what we are. Yeah, we're sitting here, we're watching it, and that's what we have a lack of overall information. And I'm not just talking military information. You know, overall what has been attacked, what's it like, conditions. I've even seen reports where they said this place got bombed and somebody had a mobile phone the next day and hardly been a scratch. Yeah.
yeah,
Now, okay, if there has been a school attacked, you could just imagine in other regions of the world, if that had gone off one particular side against another, the hell that would be let loose. Yeah, I mean, innocents are involved. Now, it could be that, okay, I'm going to say if it did happen, and I'm going to, in all intents and purposes, say it did happen because I can't see anyone fabricating that as a story. The question is, how did it happen? Why did it happen? Who authorized it? Or was it a complete balls up? Yeah, yeah,
Well, if it was one drone, it was hit by drones,
yeah, yeah,
right? School was hit by drones. If it
yeah,
was one drone, you could say, well, it was just went out of control.
yeah,
But it was hit by two drones. That's the first thing. And
yeah,
second thing is, in my view, that Ukraine, when they're sending their drones across,
yeah,
they are hitting an awful lot of civilian targets.
mm,
And Russia hasn't really made many retaliationary
yeah,
attacks on Ukraine because in the
yeah,
past a
mm,
drone has gone through the side of a high rise
yeah,
and it's just damage,
yeah,
and then one person got injured and three people got injured and one
yeah,
person died and it's an old guy who couldn't run fast
yeah.
enough and things like that.
Well, yeah,
But this seemed to be a deliberate attack on this college and dormitory,
Yeah.
and an awful lot of people died because of it.
Well, yes. I mean, these things are lethal things, and yeah, I hope they ban these drones. To be quite honest, because I've seen the footage and I think they're damn awful weapons.
Well,
Yeah. I
that's
mean,
more reason to keep. There's more reason to keep them in a war footing, isn't it?
well, yes, yes. You know what I'm saying. I'm speaking from a okay. There's no such thing as a nice war, but yeah, from a humanitarian point of view, humanitarian and war, I know. Yeah. But I mean, it suggests to me that there could be a technical problem. It depends how these drones are operated. Are they operated with block working, like 2 or 3 or 4 drones are connected, maybe 2 hit, and then they realised that something was wrong, hit the panic button, self-destruct them in the air or something. We don't. I'd like to know the full look. I'd like to know the full technical SP of this, but yeah, at the moment you have to say a school got hit for whatever reasons. Um, Somebody's either got to admit that yes, it was a deliberate act. It's unlikely the Russians will be hiding anything in a school in their own territory, as it were, like other
Yeah.
other military operational units do. We all know well. We all know
For
what I'm
sure, it's
talking
not
about.
Hezbollah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
No. So
and
there's no garrisons in hospitals and things like that.
yeah, this is the
So
point I'm making. So,
yeah.
um, and whether the intel false intel or bad intel told them it was there was a room in there that was being used for military planning, which again would be very unlikely given the way the Russians operate. Um, so I would say then we have to admit it was a mistake, it was an error, um, it was a technical error, which would then open up another can of worms for the yeah. What are these things? Who made these drones? Yeah, which would be a question, if they're made in wherever, made in made in the UK, made in Germany, made in I'm only so, but I don't know where these drones are made. Um, would be the other questions. Yeah. Which you can tell from debris and things. Um, okay, it's what the Russians have done. The Russians have been friendly enough to tell a to try not to bring in a not a friendly nation, but a nation they don't particularly want to wake up too much themselves. So get your personnel out the way. I mean, you don't know exactly what the Russian. I mean, the Russians did operate like this in the Middle East. They would say to the Americans, "We're going to have having operations here. You have a choice. Yeah, you can engage us, or get the hell out." Um, and yeah, the Americans normally oblige because they don't want to get too drawn into it. Um, Again, diplomats on the ground. Um,
Well, basically, diplomats. No, it's not diplomats because diplomats suggest
yeah,
foreign
yeah,
people
yeah,
in Kiev.
yeah,
He's talking about government workers. He's talking about
yeah,
the proper the very same president and his
yeah,
Lord Mayor of
yeah,
Kiev and stuff like that. It's
yeah.
when the bombs start
As
coming.
the targets. Now that's the point I'm making. He's telling the American
Well,
envoys to get out
what
the
I'm
way.
trying.
Yeah,
Let me just add
yeah,
this.
yeah,
As the bombs start falling, the president nor the mayor of Kiev go to the front lines to see how they can help how they
yeah,
can help in the defense of the country. They
yeah.
go into an air raid shelter
Yeah.
and just think, well, that was close.
Well, okay. There's two ways
And
to.
their thoughts and prayers go to all the citizens who died.
Okay. I mean, yeah, we get back to medieval where the king was at the front charging with his
Yes,
sword,
yeah,
El Cid,
I
and
think it should be. I think it should be.
well, there's good reasons why that's not done in modern times as well. That you need to keep your chain of command at the top. It's like the brave general who's at the front, he gets shot and it all goes to pieces. Yeah. Um, John
Yeah,
General.
good next in command.
Yeah. Well, that's it. But it's a it's not common practice now to even have high-ranking generals.
Cool.
The Russians seem to still do it, but yeah, because they need some control at the front, they need competent people at the front. Maybe Ukrainians do as well, but yeah, it's not seen as good form to have your most senior people who are actually organising the party to actually be involved too deeply in it. Yeah, because they've got to make the background decisions, yeah, from afar now, as it were. Yeah, I know it's going to be people are going to be shouting at me for that, but probably I'll have the agreement of probably anyone seen in the military who's been in the military the last 20 years agree with me on what I said there.
I'm biting my lip not to shout at you.
Yeah, I know you are. I can see that. But I know what I'm saying. I mean, yeah, I'm putting cold hard logic that if I was in charge of a military, the last people I want to see at the front were my senior generals who are actually orchestrating the whole thing, conducting it all. I don't want them managing to get themselves killed. And I know a lot of generals do want to go up to the front with their troops, and they're discouraged from doing it in the US and the UK militaries now. Yeah, I mean, we've got to ask ourselves about Zelensky. Would that make much of a difference? He's still a figurehead of the country, and yeah, I mean, if he disappears, they wouldn't have a good salesman to go around and still manage to get the the supplies in, as it were, and the money in, because I think he's very good at smoozing people and enjoying a good party himself with certain individuals. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a sad development. It's a worrying development. The Russians have been good enough to inform the potential of a flare point, like if they did manage to wipe out Americans on the ground in Kiev, as it were, even by accident, that would not be good form. So they've done it publicly, told the Americans stay out the way. I mean, the Russian view of what's happening with Ukraine is it's nobody else's business. We're just trying to decide where to put our garden fence. Yeah.
Yep.
We,
Well, the Donetsk and Lugansk areas, they want to be part of Russia. They
yeah,
want to be, well, no, they want to be independent.
yeah, they want
They
to be,
or,
but they want to be closer ties. Yeah, they speak. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but it's not that they want to be part of Russia. It's that they don't want to be part of Ukraine.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, this isn't really being reported or recognised a lot by Western countries, but you and me, who know people on the ground there, etc., well, know of people on the ground who say that. Yeah, they speak Russian. They might think Russian. Yeah,
It's like that Russian, the European leaders. It's like that Russian comedy series,
yeah,
very famous comedy series. Everybody hates Putin.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't. Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, yeah, yeah, everybody Putin. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Putin probably isn't widely loved, but he's widely respected. But yeah, because yeah, he is the leader. He's got the Russian bear under control at the moment. Um, if anything happens to Putin, I do get scared of what maniac would take over Russia as well. I'll be quite
Yeah, the
honest.
next one in line. Yep, yep.
Yeah, and we don't know who that is. We don't even if know there's anyone prepared. Most leaders in countries like that don't normally put someone in preparation because they could be the person that will bump them off. Yeah, so I'm not saying.
I think the best thing that could happen for all involved is that Putin resolves that this Ukraine situation is resolved
Yeah,
before he puts his clogs,
yeah, yeah. I mean,
because you're not getting any younger. Because if you've got something, if you've got a can of worms that's still open
yeah,
and it's full of worms, like you said, the next in command, he could take another approach to it, a
yeah,
bit more drastic,
yeah,
and that could take the scab off a really, really, really huge wound.